everybody, welcome back to our channel, Cooking with Love, Dishing with the Davises. I am of course Augustus, and today we're going to be satisfying your sweet tooth by making homemade oatmeal raisin cookies. Time to go ahead and warm both your heart and your soul. Let's go ahead and get started. So, for our dry ingredients, we need all-purpose flour, and I'm a big fan of the King Arthur brand of flour. Baking powder. I really love the Rumford brand baking powder because it is aluminum free. Baking soda. And some sea salt. For our wet ingredients, we're going to need 2 large eggs, salted butter, sugar, and I really love raw or turbinado sugar. Particularly, I'm a big fan of this Florida Crystals brand of raw sugar. Brown sugar, vanilla extract, and olive oil. Finally, at the very end of the recipe, you're going to need oats, and make sure you get the regular oats. Do not get the quick cook or the instant oats. Make sure you just get regular rolled oats. I'm a big fan of the Bob's Red Mill organic rolled oats right here. And get yourself some raisins. I love the organic raisins. Now I will go ahead and post the exact recipe in the description of the video, but I just wanted to give you a rundown of all the ingredients that you're going to need for this recipe. So look for the exact recipe in the description of this video. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with the dry ingredient mixing here. I've already got 2 cups of flour in the small mixing bowl right here. So now I'm going to go ahead and take we are going to do 1 teaspoon of baking powder. These are ½ teaspoon portions, so I'm going to do 2 of these. There we go. And we are going to do 1 teaspoon of baking soda. As I said before, these are ½ teaspoon portions, so I'm going to do 2 of them. And then finally, we are going to go ahead and do 1 teaspoon of sea salt. And on these portions right here, as far as the teaspoons of the baking soda, the baking powder, and the salt, I would say do level teaspoonfuls of those so that you don't overdo it at all. I'm just going to take a small whisk. Just go ahead and mix those dry ingredients up real quickly. All right. We're going to set those off to the side. All right, so now for our wet ingredients, we're going to start with 2 eggs, and I've already got them cracked in the bowl. And I'm just going to take and I'm going to beat those just a little bit. Then I'm going to go ahead and take my 1 cup or 2 sticks of butter and go ahead and put those into the mix as well. And make sure the butter is already softened. Probably pretty obvious, but for those of you who may not be very experienced bakers at all or anything like that, definitely make sure your butter is softened. Now we're going to go ahead and do 1 cup of sugar. In this case, what I use is the raw turbinado sugar. Put that in there like such. And we are going to do 1 cup of the packed brown sugar. And since my brown sugar container is a little bit small, all I'm gonna do is use a spoon and spoon it into my 1 cup measuring cup. Just like so. Can't really see me do it on camera. That's okay though. So, just gotta get that in there. And this is 1 cup of packed brown sugar too. So once you get it in there, you wanna make sure, once you get it in your cup, just wanna make sure you pack it down. Hoping the camera can see that. Pack it down really good, just like so. Once you get it packed in there, you make sure you got a full cup. Then just go ahead and dump it into your mixing bowl. All right, and then once you've got that in there, go ahead and mix this mixture up nice and good. And many of you will probably, you can use an electric mixer if you want to. I just like to mix it by hand. It's just something I like to do. Doesn't have to be perfect by any means, but you just want to get excuse me, the eggs, the butter, the sugar, and the brown sugar nice and mixed up really good, so that it looks about like that. Roughly, something like that. Now, if you're using white sugar, it's gonna probably look a little bit different, but this is the consistency that you want right here. Okay, then we are gonna go ahead and take a tablespoon and we're gonna measure out 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. I'm gonna go ahead and pour that in there. And then we are gonna go ahead and do one tablespoon of olive oil. And the olive oil just gives it a little bit extra moisture. Not at all that the cookies will come out dry, but the olive oil just gives it that nice, just little right touch of extra moisture. Okay. And then I've also got about a half teaspoon of salt left from earlier. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that to my wet mix as well. And if any of you might be concerned about the potential fact that there's that much salt with the salted butter, it actually comes out really good. It doesn't come out, actually doesn't come out salty at all. I always put some salt in my desserts because the salt with the right amount brings out those flavors, those good natural flavors that are already in the ingredients. And then also it just adds, when you bite into the oatmeal raisin cookie, it has just that little tiny taste of salt, just like it just kind of just sits on top of the flavor, and it's really, really good. So we're gonna go ahead and mix up this right here. And I also want to say real quickly as well, you'll notice that I did put sugar on my wet ingredients. I really, really like doing that because when you put the eggs and the butter in, when you're mixing the eggs and the butter, it's just good to mix the sugar in there as well. It gives the sugar a nice chance to dissolve really well, and then it mixes incredibly well. All right, now that we've got all the wet ingredients mixed up, what we are going to go ahead and do is mix the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients. And I learned that it really just works out so much better when you do that. I would not suggest taking your wet ingredients and mixing them into the dry ingredients. It doesn't come out nearly as well. As you can see, if I can keep the bowl in the camera, want to get down in there you know, if you're mixing this by hand, get down in there really, really good. And make sure you get all the little pockets of flour and things like that that are naturally gonna occur when you're mixing this. If you got an electric mixer, you know, same idea, obviously. Just make sure you get down in the bottom of the bowl, along the edges and things like that. That way you get all the flour and everything is mixed up really, really good. That is what your dough should look like right there. Now this is gonna be a little bit creamier than typical cookie dough because you still have 2 ingredients to add, and one ingredient in particular is gonna make up for that, and that's gonna be the oats. So that is what you want your dough to look like. All right, now that we've got our dough completely mixed up, the next step, we're gonna go ahead and add our raisins. So we're gonna take these wonderfully, lovely, delicious raisins, and we're gonna add 1.5 cups of raisins to the mix. So here is 1 cup portion. There's 1. And with this being the raisins like it is, I'm not supremely concerned about like getting exactly 1.5 cups. So I'll just go ahead and I'll use the 1 cup measuring cup and just fill it up roughly about halfway, or to whatever your heart desires on that. Kind of get a little bit more here. That looks pretty good. Yeah. Just a few more, just for good measure. All right, and then I'm gonna take these and mix the raisins up really good into the dough. Sure they're nice and good and as evenly distributed as possible. That looks about right there. The last step is to go ahead and add our oats. You are gonna need 3 cups of these oats. And like I said in the beginning of the video, you wanna just make sure they're your regular rolled oats. Do not use the quick cook oats or the instant oats. It won't come out nearly as well. So I'm gonna do 3 cups of these oats right here. I like to do them 1 cup at a time. 1 cup at a time, because it's gonna be really difficult to try and mix these oats up when you've got all 3 cups in there at once. So it's a lot easier, especially by hand. With an electric mixer, may not be as difficult, but I would just suggest go ahead and doing only 1 cup of oats at a time. Cup 2. And finally, cup 3. All right. Now that we got all 3 cups of those oats mixed up in with the mix, this is what your final mix looks like. Now, as a general rule with cookie dough, and maybe probably even biscuit dough too, but as a general rule with cookie dough, the idea is as you are stirring it, it needs to just pull apart from the bowl. And that's right where we've got it. So we got our mix mixed up nice and good. Now it's time to pan these bad boys up. Well, now, as I said, it's time to pan these bad boys up. So I've got prepared 2 of these wonderful rectangular baking sheets with parchment paper already on them. I love using parchment paper because it keeps, it keeps from the cookies sticking to the pan, and it's a lot easier to clean up. So I would highly recommend putting parchment paper on your baking sheet. So I got 2 of these. I'm going to take a 1 tablespoon measuring spoon and a 1/2 tablespoon measuring spoon. We are going to spoon out 2.5 tablespoons per cookie. probably get it, you know, about like that, roughly even. Maybe if it's a little overflowing, no big deal. And I'm going to pan that. There's 1 tablespoon and 2 tablespoons. And there's the half tablespoon, if the parchment paper will stay in place. And I like to do these with the rectangular pan. I like to go basically 4 long and 3 wide. So you get roughly about 12 cookies per baking sheet. So we'll go ahead and continue doing that.
Hey.
Well, hi, honey. I'm doing great. How you doing?
Doing good. Ooh, you're making my favorite cookie.
This is why I'm still married to this lovely woman. Right here, because she loves my oatmeal man. Yep, there she is, my lovely Tamiko. She is.
How are you guys doing on this wonderful Saturday?
And absolutely great, I think they said, telepathically. So yeah, I'm just sitting here panning up some oatmeal raisin cookies right here.
Do you mind if I help?
If you don't eat the whole bowl.
I don't know.
Should we do it?
I'll do my best.
I think we'll give her a free pass this time. You go right ahead.
Okay. Well, I'll go put my handy dandy beautiful
robe, apron, whatever
apron.
the case may be.
I'll put mine on and we'll get started.
Let's do it.
Awesome.
All right. So my lovely wife is back with her apron on, and she is panning up these homemade oatmeal raisin cookies right here. Like I said, we're doing 2.5 tablespoons per cookie, spaced out, like I said, about maybe 2 inches apart each with the rectangular baking sheet, 4 wide or 4 long, 3 wide. So you get about 12 cookies per baking sheet. So just gonna sit here and watch her pan up a few more of these, and then soon we're gonna be ready to put these in the oven. And now that my lovely wife has got these cookies panned up, it's time to put them in the oven. So now we're at the oven, and the oven has been preheated to 350 degrees. And my lovely wife right here, I just had to get another shot of her because she's so beautiful. Gonna put that in the oven. And then we are gonna come up here, and I'm gonna set the timer for about 11 minutes because these need to bake anywhere between 10 and 12 minutes, depending on the oven. All right, now the cookie should be just about done here. Oh yeah, those look good. Yep. So my lovely, beautiful wife is gonna pull these out of the oven right here. And she's gonna go ahead and set them on the cooling rack. And you want those to be just about going golden brown, or if you're having issues with your oven not exactly getting golden brown, then you just want them to be nice and dry on top. So, well, we got the last batch of cookies out. So after the work is done, it's time to play by testing these wonderful homemade cookies. Let's see how they came out, babe. That's good. Cheers.
Cheers.
Nice and crispy on the outside.
Moist on the inside.
Chewy in the middle. Nice and moist. I told you that tablespoon of olive oil makes a difference. May not seem like it does, but it definitely does. And you can't have cookies without a nice, tall, ice cold glass of milk. It's a classic, but there's a reason why they're classics. Because classics, no matter what it is, have exquisite flavor. Absolutely. Well, I think that wraps up another one, babe. So, Hope you like this recipe. If you try it, go ahead and let us know how you did in the comments. And speaking of which, if you would please, we would greatly appreciate it if you would like this video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. We would greatly appreciate it. So, from our home of loving,
straight to your oven.
we wish you all the best. Bon appetit, and we love you all. Take care.